Hey, this is Jeff. Welcome back to Coito Ergo Sum, Less Talk, More Action, a series which has temporarily run out of catchy intro slogans. A few weeks ago, we completed the quest Who Killed Fresca Koi, and completed the objective to discover the origin of Handy's fetish. Which brings us to one of the most cryptic parts of the whole mod. Right now, the main quest is still open because she has an even bigger secret, but there's no current objective. Like the vanilla game, I think Coito Ergo Sum holds your hand just a little too much with quest markers and objectives, so when you get to one of these places where you have to figure things out for yourself, it can kind of throw you for a loop. Maybe Belthan assumed you'd use Handy and the Stag as followers all the time, so this would just come up naturally, but I didn't, so it kind of slipped my mind. If you didn't see episode 8, short version, Handy's a masochist who hates it if you show empathy and enjoys it when you're cruel or domineering.
Yes, Master?
I've been meaning to ask. You're not from around here, right?
Your sexual advances are usually pretty original, so I'll assume that's a legitimate question. Yes, I've traveled extensively.
Hey, whoa, I never made a pass at you. I might have been a little bit pushy when I was asking about the cult, but I was just curious. Anyway, where's home?
Home is where you say it is, Master.
Okay, but originally?
I don't know. I can't remember life before the cult, but I've been traveling west ever since. It was far behind me when I reached the Mississippi.
So the cult is on the East Coast, then?
I think so. Talking about it makes me very uncomfortable.
Well, I need to know. Let's see. Pleasure and pain are reversed for you, so... Tell me, bitch!
I don't know. I remember the doors, the security systems, the road, but I can't remember where the road leads. I remember glorious anguish on faces in villages along my path, but I can't remember the faces of those who trained me.
I don't care about the scenery. Work backwards from the Mississippi.
St. Louis, Cincinnati, the pit. Yes, the pit, the renaissance of philosophy, the realization that true strength comes only through suffering. Before the pit, I was blind.
When she tells you about the cult, you can bypass the nastiest dialogue options by using medicine skill to kind of psychoanalyze her, but it's not that easy now. If you still don't quite believe that her pain and pleasure responses are literally reversed, you can bail out. Nothing before the pit? Damn, I thought we were getting somewhere.
So did I. Never mind. I serve as you see fit.
You can always start over. If you used medicine skill and you're 100% confident in your diagnosis, you might just be full steam ahead with the abusive options. Or if you're just evil. But if not, you'll eventually get there just by trial and error, because the farther into the dialogue you get, the more frustrated she is if you bail. We still haven't figured out where you're from. Start over, from the beginning.
You're looking at the finest piece of meat the wasteland ever produced. Lollipops. You remember.
That's it. I warned you. Where were you before the pit?
So many. Niagara Cliffs, the Erie Stretch, the ruins of New York, Albany, Hartford, Syracuse. I beg your mercy, Master. I remember shattered skylines. I remember terror, but I can't remember the sequence.
Without the sequence, the locations are useless. Damn, we were so close.
Ugh. Yes, very close. The frustration is unbearable. I beg your mercy, Master. I remember shattered skylines. I remember terror, but I can't remember the sequence.
Can't or won't? Remember, you stupid, stubborn Brahmin.
West, always west. The blasted lands, then the cliffs, the lake, the pit. The river is contaminated far into the Midwest. Prey is scarce. Finally, to the Mississippi and the man who seeks the brotherhood. He's found them more than once, and been disappointed more than once. Kansas, from the Great Plains to the Great Mountains, Dogtown, Zion, here, precious agony of the Master.
So New England, then. Close enough. I am so sorry. I know that was painful.
Just a few more seconds and you did that on purpose. I thought I was cruel, but you are the master, and it's your right to inflict the cruelty I deserve. I apologize for my impertinence.
So working backwards, if it's the Commonwealth, just say so, you useless, rancid slit.
Yes, the layer of those I owe everything exposed. I betray you. I betray you.
And admitting that triggers some kind of seizure, after which she seems to be unresponsive. Holy crap. If I just gave you some kind of hypno-orgasmic stroke, I am a god.
Internal diagnostics report multiple critical errors. Immediate deactivation and referral to a qualified technician are recommended.
You've got to be kidding me. Really?
Behavioral inhibitors are offline. Failure rate and stimulus response routing is 43%. Unpredictable cascade effect on secondary systems. These defects are not field serviceable.
You mean you're a robot?
No, I'm a synthetic person.
Ah. I guess forcing you to access encrypted files triggered a reboot.
It's a little more complicated than that, but basically, yes.
You seem pretty casual, all things considered.
Colloquial speech patterns are a basic feature of my human interface.
Not that I'm interested, but you'd still be able to, you know.
Of course, physical pleasure is a basic feature of my human interface.
Did you give up on pretending to be human? Because that's a rather unromantic way to express passion.
I'm sorry, Master. You seem curious about that part of me. I won't mention it again. So, you want to do it now?
No. I mostly want you to be on call if I need to use the stag. Anyway, I have more questions.
Of course.
Why did you lie about coming from a cult?
Cult was your word. It seemed like a pretty good metaphor, since I couldn't be literal.
Just in case I missed an analogy, let's have the literal version.
I'm sorry, I can't remember.
I'm not wasting my time insulting a toaster.
I thought you didn't want me to acknowledge that I'm synthetic. The literal version is, those memories were erased when I had my reboot. I assume it was a security precaution. I only lost pre-programmed memories. I still have my acquired memories. The pit. Us.
There is no us, toaster. There never was. I just need you to do as you're told.
Of course, I serve as you see fit.
Why would they give you memories that self-destruct when you access them?
They were probably relevant to my intended function. I could access them. I just couldn't talk about them. But I don't think the failsafe was designed to conceal information about my creators. I'm only guessing, but it might have been a way to prevent potential competitors from reverse engineering their proprietary technology.
Now that I know what you are, maybe we can get your defects fixed.
While my parameters aren't in line with my design specifications, I don't consider them defects. They allow me to be who I choose to be.
You don't get to choose who you are, only how you act.
Our actions define us. I have dozens of personality templates. Assertive, gullible, intellectual, prudish, seductive, you name it. I don't use any of them. I choose every word, every action. Will it be effective? Will it cause me pleasure? Does it serve a greater purpose? Humans are no different. Your personalities change constantly according to the circumstances.
I don't. What you see is what you get.
Then you are fortunate. Most people don't have what it takes to make that work.
Assuming there's no undelete command, I guess that's it.
There isn't. But I may be able to deduce something from my acquired memories, like you deduced my origin was the Commonwealth.
Anyway, discovering she's an android starts a timer that will eventually trigger the next stage of the quest. You okay with me having a sex bot? And a giant mute murder bot? Cool.
We having fun yet?
Heard anything about new staff?
Matter of fact, I have. Buddy of mine says there's this hot little number in Freeside ain't too pleased with her current management. Maybe you could convince him she should work here instead. And if not, well, I reckon Freeside could find a way to get along with one less pimp.
See you later.
Have a good one.
All right, let's go recruit Maria.
I'm starting to get that funny feeling again.
Kikata has seen me recruit magazine models, and she has seen me put up posters to recruit prostitutes, but she hasn't seen me recruit an actual prostitute, so still acclimating her to my line of work. And every time you go into a casino, your weapon hotkeys get reset. Some thugs always spawn up around this corner. Don't want them interrupting me, and we can see Kikata in combat.
Good day.
I'll make this quick.
Whoa!
Ah! Whoa!
Damn it. The whole point of getting into a fight was to see how Kikata does.
Done and done.
Oh well.
Hey, you're the one who's been going around helping people around here, right? The king says to keep up the good work, and said to give you this.
Thanks. Well, next time, I guess. Anyway, the next pro is in the ruined building across from Mick and Ralph's. She should be in here having an argument with her pimp.
What did I tell you about that, huh?
I'm sorry, it won't happen again.
If a customer wants something that ain't on the menu, you send them back to me.
I know, I promise.
It's real simple. I'll convince him you don't want it that way. Or I'll convince you that you do.
Okay.
But you don't listen. You just send him away, and now we got no money. Well, maybe you'll listen to this.
Ow, you don't have to do that.
I think maybe I did. You get the message?
Did you see
Yeah,
that?
I get it. I'll send them to you.
Oh,
Make
she
sure
saw
you
it.
do. Now, get back to work. Come on, tough guy. Let's see what you got.
Nope. I wanted to let her handle this. Having trouble there? Maybe her default hunting rifle isn't that great.
Hey, you're the one who's been going around helping people around here, right? The king says to keep up the good work, and said to give you this.
Thanks, but I'm kind of in the middle of something. Anyway, much like Angie, there are multiple ways to get Maria out of her situation. You can buy her contract, intimidate Bolus, or if you don't kill him, you can hire him as a toady to replace posters when they get torn down, but there are much less repulsive people you can hire to do that, and I don't want posters to be automatically replaced until after I buy out Hilly's shares. Anyway, are you mad at me because I executed him after he surrendered, or are you gloating because he deserved it?
Holy shit, you didn't have to kill him.
Are you okay?
I don't know, Bolas was an asshole, but at least he found me plenty of work.
How old are you?
How old do you want me to be?
The truth would be nice.
It's not polite to ask a lady her age. Let's go with 29.
You don't look it.
Thanks. It's true, though. I have a condition. The doctors call it delay-on disease. Don't worry. It's not catching.
Never heard of it. How'd you get it if it's not contagious?
Passed down from my mama. Sometime after I started bleeding, I stopped aging. It was the same with her.
So anyway, about your employment situation.
Yeah, about that. Bolas wasn't perfect, but he had a knack for finding customers who want what I deliver.
Well, I was here to hire you, but I didn't realize the situation you were in. This could be a chance to do something else.
Like what? I don't know jack shit about technology, and farming isn't going to support my lifestyle. I can handle a piece, but who's going to hire a 90-pound merc? No, this suits me just fine.
I run lollipops. We cater to clients with unusual tastes, and you qualify.
Really, they had a great rep back in the day, but I didn't know they were still open. Thanks.
All right, let's get going.
I'm right behind you.
That might not have been a fair test of Kekada's combat skills. If you don't attack Bolus, you can try to intimidate him with dialogue, which is fairly standard, but if you cripple him in combat, he actually surrenders, and you can talk to him again, which is pretty unusual in Fallout, so that might have confused her a little bit. If the guys that ambush you back here are still alive, I'll pick a fight with them and yeah, there they are. I'll let her handle this one.
Check it out, between the dumpsters there.
Friend of yours?
Nah, just some idiot that wandered down the wrong alley. Sound familiar?
I know you are. What am I? Seriously? I just got done saying how characters in Fallout almost never surrender when combat doesn't go their way. I mean, they'll flee if they fail a morale check, but they're almost always still hostile. Green health bar doesn't change the fact they're muggers. What? There is no way I missed him at this range. He must be behind an invisible wall or something.
What do you need?
No, I can talk to him. I guess you get a second chance at life then. Use it well.
Bye.
No, I can't. Unbelievable! Did you see that? Okay, I am not a superstitious person, but that guy totally just had a Pulp Fiction moment. By the way, if you played Quo Vadis or saw my walkthrough, you know De Leon syndrome is a real thing. People who have it don't appear to age. Maria really is in her 30s, and we'll eventually learn more about that later in the main quest. But if you're skeptical, you can hire her as a bartender instead of a pro.
Your bad deeds surprise me. They really do.
They were muggers and an abusive pimp, Geraldine. I don't consider killing them bad deeds. If Hilly isn't in the kitchen, he's usually in the workshop down here, yep.
I seen Maria. That little darling's pure money. 29 my ass.
See you later.
Have a good one.
All right. Want to check on our finances. Well, we didn't lose quite as much money yesterday, but the share price is down 17, 16, something like that. We have a few more posters up than I really want. That's probably why we had 2 customers instead of just the one, but that's definitely working. Hey, got a minute?
What do we have here?
I've been thinking about what you said at the fort, and I realized I'm not being the person I want to be. I just executed a guy for slapping a woman. I don't regret that, but it was less than 3 hours after I did the same thing. Yes, I was trying to help her, and yes, she liked it, and yes, she turned out to be a malfunctioning sex bot, but I still feel like a hypocrite. And then the world's luckiest mugger made me think of Oliver Swanwick, and yeah, Legion justice is harsh, but so is mine. So is yours. I was just so wrapped up in not judging other cultures and not believing the NCR's propaganda that I didn't realize just how bad the Legion was until we saw them on their own turf. And I think at this point there's only one way I can make this right. Which makes me very happy I recently bought a weapon worthy of a tyrant. Guys, I just wanted to apologize. I've been so focused on the 3 Ps that I've been neglecting my core message of tolerance and diversity, and there are certain people who need to be convinced that profligates are people too. Well, I have no idea what the Legion would call androids, and I guess technically Kekata is more of a dissolute than a profligate, but hey, this is all about being inclusive.
By order of Caesar, all visitors must disarm and relinquish all banned items.
Did you miss the memo? We're here for the Profligate Pride Day celebration, so we're gonna have to hang on to these.
This is your last warning. You will relinquish your weapons and banned items, or prepare to face the consequences.
Hold on a second. The timeline diverged in the late 40s or early 50s? I need to go check something on IMDb real quick. Okay, we're good. You can pry my weapons from my cold, dead hands, you damn dirty ape!
This fool challenges the Legion, brothers. Let us teach him some manners. Awe, another kill true to Caesar. You like that? Retribution. Retribution.
Yep, Heston's first film was in 1941, so he's totally canon. His movies from the 60s and 70s might not be, but never mind. Jeez, I gave Handy the best minigun in the game and forgot to tell her to use it.
Of course.
I gave Kekata and the Stag reinforced combat armor, but Handy's default outfit is surprisingly good, especially if you add the Merc Grunt pants and boots to it.
Whoa!
With the Enfield, I should be using hollow points against anything with damage threshold less than about 12, which I think almost all Legion armor is. Eat some maize, save my stim packs for when it really hits the fan, which I think it's just about to.
Another kill to my name.
Suffering is strength.
Retribution.
You like that? Retribution. Come on.
Ugh.
Oh, nice dodge. Hold still.
Retribution.
Oh, no excuse for that. Yep. I was shooting like a freaking seal with the cheap bullets, but put in hollow points and I can't hit the broadside of a barn. Eight caps a pop to kill tents and scenery. Every time you go into a casino, your hotkeys get reset. Should have checked that before we started. Actually, they only confiscate your weapons. My Stimpak hotkey probably got reset the last time I was here, because the Legion confiscates your chems, the casinos don't. Okay. Was I in combat or not? The, level up menu coming up probably means that I'm safe. We'll definitely take enough lockpick to pick a master lock without using a magazine. And... I don't know, barter. I have so much money that doesn't really matter. Of course, I have that much money because my barter skill is so good, but put it in repair. Actually, no. Medicine would probably be more useful in the next 10 minutes than repair. Alright, yeah, that'll work. It's been a long time since I leveled up. I have the perk that takes 10% off your experience, but gives you 5 bonus skill points on every skill when you create your character. There you go. So at low level, you barely notice it, and the extra points when you first start out are really helpful. But now it's kind of creating some drag on my level.
Another kill to my name. Come on!
You like that?
Well, the handler's unconscious. That's not good. The stag automatically frenzies if she goes down, and she isn't nearly tough as he is, so that happens a good bit. I should have given her real combat armor, but step outside and she should be revived. Yep. Although, where's the stag? Surely he didn't get killed. I've only ever seen 2 things kill him. He got cornered by Securitrons in the Lucky 38. Oh, there he is. Hey, big guy. Don't be upset. She's fine. The other thing would actually be a spoiler, so we'll see what that was later. That's one of the 2 main reasons I generally don't use them as companions. I took them everywhere in the old walkthrough because that character was useless in combat. But the other reason is, you might remember when we first hired Handy, she said he'd strike terror into the hearts of my enemies, and he really does. Enemies fail their morale checks left and right when they're around him in combat.
I've heard stories about you. No one knows what you'll do next.
Which is actually inconvenient almost as often as it's useful. He runs in as soon as he spots an enemy, spoils your sneak attack, they run around in a panic so they're harder to hit, and then you've got to search high and low to find the bodies to loot. Although, it is hilarious to watch him chase a terrified Deathclaw around the map. Everybody okay? Alright, get ready. There's like half a dozen really tough guys in here.
Another kill to my name.
Excellent! He panicked the Praetorian Guard. Oh, Kaisar's down. Oh. Jeez. Take your time and aim! Oh my god. Oh, good. Okay, no light fingers. I don't want to tarnish my political statement by looting like a common thief. That was a joke, guys. Tolerance and diversity do not conflict in any way with the principle of waste not, want not. We're leaving nothing but the bodies, even if it takes 2 trips. Kaisar? Hey, Fiona says thanks for taking her baby away. There's a map of the dam area on Kaisar's table. Not really useful, but kind of cool. And also hopefully cool, let me check my reputation. Yes, reputation is a function of fame and infamy, which are 2 separate scales. I was idolized, which means I had max fame and minimum infamy. Obviously, what we just did maxed my Legion infamy, but it didn't take away from my Legion fame, so my reputation is now Wildchild, and it can never get any lower than that, so I should still never have to worry about Legion assassins coming after me, even though I just murdered Caesar. Great, I've lost Karma. Karma mattered in Fallout 3. It was mostly replaced by faction reputation in New Vegas, but it still exists as a stat. It's just funny that murdering Caesar and dozens of legionaries didn't affect my karma at all, even though it trashed my reputation. But apparently looting a dead guy's footlocker makes me a bad person. In fact, I just want to check. Yeah, apparently it didn't make me that bad of a person since my karma is still very good, which kind of surprises me. Not just for the obvious reason, but because positive karma is just as rare in New Vegas as negative karma. Anyway, I'm going to need you guys to carry something. I'm dying here. Alright, I'm finally done selling and sorting, and before I take you back to Lollipops, I just need to give you this ballistic fist in perfect condition to the stag. Because, you know, he isn't terrifying enough with just his knuckle spikes, and I did see him punch a couple guys who died without their heads actually exploding, so little upgrade.
I've been thinking about Fresca Koi. Your explanation made a lot of sense at first, but the more I think about it, the less I believe it.
Cool. Apparently all that took long enough that the timer for the next stage of the quest expired. So why don't you believe it?
Larry built Vault L to save his friends, including Fresca. He knew the risks. He wouldn't turn around and have her killed just because she said no. Besides, if he didn't think she could be trusted because she was an alcoholic, he wouldn't have invited her in the first place.
Great. So where does that leave us?
Francis Deloitte was the last person to see Fresca alive. The detective in Nye County wanted the phone logs from her hotel, and so do I.
He never learned the location. The logs weren't in his office or his partner's.
I know, but neither was the wiretap device. He must have learned the location and taken it with him. Before he could get there, the war started, and he had bigger things to worry about.
There's a terminal in his office that I couldn't hack. Well, actually, I did hack the one in his office, but the RWI terminal in the main office required a password. I guess that's the one it means, obviously.
It must be it. You said the people in the valley obsessively preserve their ancestors' knowledge. Maybe one of them knows the password.
I'll see what they can tell me.
We're real close. I can feel it. Meet me back at the bar when you know.
Well, that's convenient. Now I don't have to take them back. And that starts the mechanic. But I need sleep and water, and I think I'll do that next week. See you then.